And I guess we're live. Hey, good morning,
Awesome.
Nolan.
Guy, good morning. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. It's This is the first live I've done with anyone, so
Are,
excited and appreciate it.
are you serious? This is the first live stream well, on YouTube, you're meaning, right? Because
Yeah, yeah. For
you've done,
YouTube, yes.
yeah, because I know
Hmm.
you've done stuff on Instagram.
Yeah,
Um,
for
but
YouTube, yeah.
usually it's you hosting it though, right?
Yeah, usually, yeah. Hmm.
So this is the first time as a guest. Well,
Yeah, of
thank you for two reasons. One, for accepting the invitation to come here, and
course.
thank you also for inviting me to
Hmm.
assist the Medaka fish event. That was
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really, really interesting.
I mean, we've been
It was,
trying to kind of link up for a while, you
I
know.
know,
So yeah, I was when you told me you're getting the day off, I was really happy. I was excited to meet you, and I'm really glad you came by.
yeah, I know. And a couple other occasions, every time I happen to be in the area,
Hmm.
you either got an event going on,
I
or
wasn't
you're
there. Yeah.
running around or doing something else.
Hmm.
And so it was really nice to finally be able to get that opportunity
Yeah.
to go out there. And because I've been wanting it again, like I was telling Mel, I became aware of your store because of the video that he did when he was down there.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh man, that's pretty interesting. Although at the time, I was just starting to do getting to the back into the aquarium stuff, and getting into more of the planet stuff.
Yeah.
But what I really found interesting is that you, at the beginning, or at least that was what I got the feeling, you were like really specializing in African cichlids.
Yeah.
Um,
That was the original plan. That was the original plan, but going into business, I kind of had to divert a little bit. But that was the original plan.
yeah, and that's one of the other reasons why I wanted to have you on here, is to talk about that experience, because um, you have a different insight now that you've had so many years doing this. That I always find it interesting when I talk to people, and it seems like it's real common in our community that people want to start up a store.
Yeah.
And immediately one of the things that they talk about is like, oh, I want to set up an aquarium store where I'm only going to sell these kind of fish.
Yeah.
And just in the time past that has passed, I've come aware of the fact that there's a reason why a lot of stores sell the fish that they do, and that's because, at the end of the day, if you want to keep your doors open, you got to be able to have stuff that people are going to buy.
Yeah.
And I think what I always think about when people try to specialize, like they say, "Oh, I'm only going to carry these type of fish." My thinking goes to, I guess you could potentially do that if you don't have an overhead. What I mean by that, if you're not having to pay for a building, if you're not having to pay for employees, um, maybe
Electricity.
you could probably pull that off.
Hmm.
But the minute that you have to pay for a lease, and
Yeah.
you got to pay all these other stuff, then
Hmm.
it becomes where, like, no, I need to have product that's gonna
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to kind of pick your brain about, and
Yeah.
your experience and what it's been like, because I know, like I said, I remember coming across your channel at the very beginning. There's a couple of things that I found interesting. One was the fact that you were really focusing on the African cichlids. The other thing is the way you set up your store.
Oh, yeah.
um because it reminded me so much of, like, when you start setting up your own fish room in your,
Yeah.
either your garage, or yeah, or in a spare bedroom. And the whole concept of using the cinder blocks and the and the
Hmm.
2x4s, which makes perfect sense for your location, because you're like in an
Yeah.
industrial park.
Hmm.
So it really brings that vibe into the store.
Yeah. So pretty much the reason behind that is just it's money. It was the cost. Pretty much before I opened the shop, I had a garage full of maybe like 40 tanks. I had three-quarters of my garage set up with aquariums, fish, tanks, all kinds of stuff. And then I had a storage unit filled, not filled, maybe halfway with new tanks. So I was going to go into this location and basically fill it out. And pretty much I was able to fill the first cichlid room and
Mhm.
a little bit of that main room, and then I ran out of tanks, and I was pretty much low on money. So believe it or not, for the first maybe year to year and a half, I was barely finishing out the second room and even the back of the shop. And what I was doing was I was going on Craigslist, and I was just buying used tanks and I was setting them up. My first thought was in the beginning, I'm going to buy new tanks, and just put them in there. And that just got way too expensive. And I just had to start going with used tanks. And basically, it costs a lot of money to set up a store. If people think it may cost a few thousand, it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars just for the tanks, the equipment. So I had already been using cinder blocks and 2x4s in my garage, and that worked great. I knew how to set it up. I knew how to, design it. And that's how I just started. And literally brick by brick, every one of those bricks in the shop, I picked up at Home Depot. I put in my car. I drove it to the shop. I unloaded it, and literally I built it brick by brick, which, now, I can say I'm proud of. And I designed it in the African cichlid room. I have that one tank in the center, so you can do a full 360 around it. Um, so it was just finances and being able to pretty much, I ran out of money in a way where the store wasn't even halfway built. And I just had to figure it out. So as the months went by, generating sales, I was using all that income basically to fill out the store. Um, and one of my buddies, who unfortunately passed away several months ago, Dave Mosher, he had a ton of tanks that had the brown trim. And I'm not
Mhm.
sure if you're familiar with those, but usually if a tank has brown trim, it's probably from the 80s or 90s. And he was so generous enough where he had like hundreds of them in his backyard. So he's like, "Hey, Nolan, I know you need tanks, come by." He had stacks and stacks of 20 gallons. So I filled up my car. He probably gave me 30 20-gallon highs with all brown trim. But the thing is, back then, the quality of the tanks were a lot better. So they had thick glass.
Yeah.
They're 35 years old, and they're still holding water, and they're still, they don't look that nice, but I have them all in my back of the shop. The breeding area is filled with all of Dave Mosher's 20-gallon brown trim tanks. So I use that to fill out the back. But literally, as the weeks went on, my first year in business, I was just filling out the store, working by myself, just trying to make ends meet. And using cinder blocks and the plywood made it very affordable, where I can spend a couple $100 and I can get like I can put up maybe like 10 or 15 tanks just from that. So, and that's just kind of grown into our culture at the store of who we are, and how we do it. Anyone at home can set that up. And one great thing is, the more tanks that are on there, the more water that's in there, the stronger it becomes. And also, at any time, I could literally break it down and I can rearrange it, which I had to do in the main room right there where the register is. Against the wall there, I made the mistake of starting my rack 2 bricks high, putting the first tank, then
Mhm.
adding a second level. And I had it like that for like 3 years. And then I realized I needed 3 bricks high for that first level of tanks, just to speed up water changes. Obviously, the lower it is to the ground, the slower the water is going to come out. And that just took forever. So basically, I took down the whole wall, and then I made it so it's 3 bricks high. And that extra 12 inches of height made a world of difference for water changes, made the tanks more eye level. I can put UNS contra soil down on the bottom and stack them higher.
Mm.
So that was a huge project. But like I said, doing it like that, they're not cemented in. I have an idea or something, I want to change tanks,
Yeah.
I can just break it all down. So it's really plug and play. And using those cinder blocks has just worked out great for me.
Yeah, no, that's the nice thing about that setup, that it's very modular. You can break it down, readjust it, do whatever it else you
Yeah.
want to do to it. My other thing that I've always that I'm curious about is, you said you started out in your garage.
Yeah.
When you were doing that, what at what point did you decide to like, yeah, the garage is no longer going to work where I need to move out of there and actually start a business, because that's like a big jump when you go, if you're doing home sales and then having
Yeah.
to open up a store, it is a huge change.
It was where too many people were coming to my house and, picking stuff up. And luckily, I lived in a quiet neighborhood. I knew all the neighbors. So obviously, they knew I wasn't like dealing drugs or anything. I was selling fish. So it just business was growing, and I just was accumulating so many tanks. And a friend of mine had a warehouse, and he had set it up for another business, and unfortunately his business was not doing well. So he's like, hey Nolan, I have this warehouse, I have a lease, why don't we partner up? You know what I mean? You can move in there,
Yeah.
and I already have it leased out, and it was in Santa Ana, and I was coming from Monterey Park, and I was like, you know what? I don't know. Why don't I just take a risk? It was far away, but I was just like, you know what? I let's just try this thing. So I went down there, checked it out. It was a nice space. It already had like rooms separated in there. So that's kind of why there's already rooms in there. Maybe I should have demoed it down and made it one big room, but I didn't. I was just moving stuff in, and yeah, I was over. My garage was filled. At that point, I was breeding tons of African cichlids. I had probably thousands of African cichlids in my garage, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep breeding. And that's kind of like where I knew I just needed to expand. Um, I had to pay rent now, having a lease there. Electricity, I didn't foresee how much electricity would be. Sometimes my electricity bill is at least 1,000, going upwards on like almost 2,000 a month in the winter time. So that was, all these extra little costs to run a business. They do add up. So the first few years were very tight, and it was tough. It was very tough, especially being in a new spot, especially being in an industrial area where I'm not in a strip mall. But the rent was a little bit lower because I was in that strip mall. But I know we were talking about it the other day when you had come by, but social media, luckily I had an Instagram page already going for 4 or 5 years already, and I had somewhat of a following. And I would post up fish, hey, I opened the store, hey, I have dragon bloods, OBs. People would come down, so that was like free advertising. And the power of social media is amazing. And that was able to kind of like definitely help me. I set up a website so I can ship throughout the United States. That was an added bonus as well, just to get some income coming in. But pretty much I was just like, I have to make this work. It was a huge investment. And yeah, I got through the first few years, which were tough. And now things are trending upward for sure.
Well, really quick, since you touched on it, are you currently, do you ship out of your store if customers
Yes.
outside of, okay,
Yeah.
I
So
know because
yeah, we ship
June,
throughout the US.
okay, perfect. So that was a question that somebody had asked. And
Uh-huh.
then the other question that I saw Jeffro ask was, when you started up, as far as the business, did you have somebody that was kind of guiding you through it? But you said you had a partner, so that was kind of your
So my
mentor
my
through the process.
so my partner was just a friend and kind of like a financial partner, but in reality, it wasn't finance. Um, it was supposed to be like that, and we were friends. But sometimes when you partner with friends in business, it's not the best idea. So after maybe like about a year, we were amicable, and we kind of split ways. And basically, everything was put under my name, and I just take care of everything after that first year. So it wasn't like not to be mean, but it wasn't much of a help having that partner. But yeah, that's just kind of the way that it went. So I pretty much had to do everything behind the scenes, cleaning fish tanks, buying fish, all the business side of the stuff. I do it all.
Now, the building that you guys initially started out is the same one you're currently in, right?
Yes. So not many people know this, but this is actually my second fish store. So we're about almost 8 years in at this location. My first store I had in 2007 to 2009 in
Mm.
Roland Heights. Um, so I was a lot younger. I had some money, and I was like, "Hey, I know about fish. Let me open a fish store." So I actually bought a fish store that was already existing, changed the name, and I went in there. And some of you folks that are a little bit, I guess not young folks, were around in '07, '09 to understand the economy just,
Hmm.
was really bad in '07 to '09. So I opened up the store, or I took over the store, changed the name right when the economy was like going down. So it was a very bad business move. I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't. And I learned, a tough, $50,000, $60,000 lesson about business and stuff like that. So I closed up the store. I only survived maybe a year and a half or so. Closed the store, learned a tough lesson, and just kept in the fish game for around 9 years. And then I was able to open up the second location, um, and that's where we're at now.
Oh, just to backtrack a little bit, then prior to you opening up the first store, were
Yeah.
you already had multiple tanks in your garage, or was that already like the first
So I
venture?
was, yeah, I had maybe, 10, 15 tanks. I was doing service as a
Mm.
side hustle. I had a full-time job. I actually had two full-time jobs. Um, actually three, if you count doing aquarium service. So I had one full-time and I had two part-time jobs. And I decided to open the store, and I just kept my part-time job, which is something I coach softball. So I just did that just for fun because I'm passionate about it. And then I quit my full time, fully dedicated to the store. And it was tough. In 2007, there wasn't social media. I'd be out front of the store, just kind of like looking out the window, waiting for people to come in. And believe it or not, at that time, I was actually like just so desperate. I would walk door to door and like put my business card on people's doors in the surrounding neighborhood. And I just think back at like how inefficient that was, walking the streets of Roland Heights, hours and hours in the sun, putting my business card, and like maybe one out of 100 would, so things are definitely different now, especially with social media. So, yeah, I learned a lot of things about that experience to strengthen me and kind of guide me in a lot of mistakes that, I wouldn't do again.
So prior to opening the store, you said you had multiple tanks. What kind of fish were you keeping then at that point?
So I was only freshwater, just community stuff. I
Mm.
did have flower horn. Flower horn, believe it or not, is one of the fish that actually like propelled and started me getting into the fish hobby. Because in the late '90s, flower horn were kind of introduced, and you could buy little baby flower horn for maybe the size of a quarter for like $20. So I was like, hey, $20 for babies? Let me start breeding these guys. So I set up a few tanks in my garage. I was trying to breed them, but at that time it was already like 6 months had passed. The value had dropped, and you can't sell all the babies for 20, $25. So yeah, it ended up not working out with flower horn, but it inspired me to get like 15 tanks in my garage, different community fish, guppies, and stuff like that. And I started expanding my service business where I had maybe 7 or 8 accounts, and I was just cleaning tanks. At that time, I was buying stuff online and then just reselling it to my customers just to make a little profit. And that was my side hustle, that was fueling my passion for aquariums.
So once you decide to make the jump into opening up the store, what were some of like the learning lessons, or the things that you were not prepared, that you said, "Oh man, this is something that nobody had told
So
me about."
So when I in Roland Heights, that first store, half of it was salt, half of it was fresh. My expertise is fresh. I know some stuff about saltwater. So, purchased the store, the previous owner was like, "Hey Nolan, I'll go with you to a supplier, help you buy fish." So I'm like, "Okay." I don't know much about saltwater. So I had, maybe, six, $7,000. I'm like, I'm gonna purchase some livestock. Went down there. I'm like, oh, yellow tangs. They're so popular. And I think I bought like 30 yellow tangs that were like big ones. I didn't know I would sell one or two yellow tangs a week, and I bought 30 of them. And
Mhm.
those guys, were like, that was like $1,000 investment for those guys. And it was just bad. So just understanding what fish to buy, what fish sell, just because you like a fish doesn't mean it's going to sell. So that was a tough learning curve, knowing what the market is, knowing what people want, coral, um, just all kinds of stuff, what to buy to fill my tanks. And when you have a store, you can easily spend a couple $1,000s of livestock, put it in your store, and it's like your tanks still look empty. So it's like, you really have to be understanding the market, what the consumers want, what fish sell, not just buy, oh, I love these fish, so I'm going to buy 100 of them. So that was a learning curve, and just keeping up with the maintenance of the tanks. It's easy to have a couple tanks at home, keep them clean, but when you have like over 100 tanks, and then you want them all to look nice, it's a lot, especially being a small business. I didn't have any employees at that first location, so I did everything myself. Was there 12 hours a day, so it was a lot of work. I'm sure, if you have your own small business or you're a business owner, you're not working 9 to 5, you're working 10, 12, 14 hours a day. You work harder,
Yep.
you don't just go clock in and then clock out. It's a lot of work. I know there's a lot of small business owners or business owners out there, and I'm sure they can attest to you work harder when it's your own business.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people, be careful what you wish for, because I know
Mhm.
some people say, "Oh, I want to do this, YouTube full time." It's like, yeah, once you decide to go that route, you're gonna find out that it's not like now that I have a little bit of time. I pop up here, I do an interview, I do a quick video, and that's it. If you're gonna do this full time, it's long days, long hours of
Mhm.
just constantly doing stuff. Some
Yeah.
people say it's not that bad if you really enjoy it, but I just think anything that you do that you invest a lot of stuff in eventually will probably start wearing down on you.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
it's just, but yeah, no, that was that's always been my take on that. It's kind of like, I'll continue to do this as long as it's not a burden,
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
yeah. But uh, there was something I wanted to ask you real quick before about the store. Oh, about the buying of the fish. Um, you said to be able to do some research on the market based off your experience currently now. If somebody's interested in and wanting to pursue the venture of opening up a store, what kind of research are you talking about? What are some of the things that you would suggest that they focus on to be able to know what the market is doing at the current time as far as product?
So that's a great question. For me, the I feel that we're a smaller store, so space is really limited. In terms of dry goods, you can see we just have a few counters, we have stuff on the wall. There's all sorts of vendors out there. So the items that I choose to carry are going to be from brands that I trust and I know are good quality. I have a few brands of food that I sell, and other companies approach me and say, "Hey, Nolan, we'd love to get our food into your store." And I'm like, between me and the rep, I'm like, is your food better than this brand? Is your food, have better ingredients? It's not always about price. It's really just about quality products that we can stand behind. One of them being Extreme Fish Foods. They're made in the USA. Products are very good quality. Sarah as well. That's a food that we carry in store. There's no fillers. Just good natural stuff that you want to give your fish. So there are just certain brands that we support and that we trust that I choose to put in the store. Going back to what you said, just like knowing the market. That just comes with experience and putting work and time into your craft and your hobby and knowledge. I'm always watching different stuff, learning about fish, watching other people's channels, knowing what's popular. That was one of my first mistakes when I opened the first store, or I took over the first store. I didn't know much about the saltwater market. So I'm like, yellow tanks, they'll sell. And I bought too many. I spent $1,000 on one species of fish. And that was a mistake that I made. So just, um, having knowledge of the industry. If you want to open a fish store, it's not easy, but you need to know what's trending, what's popular. You need to have experience. You should have several aquariums for yourself. Go to a lot of local fish stores. Do research. Tons of hours online and see what's popular. But it just comes down to doing your homework, doing research on fish, finding out, like right now, the popular type of tank are nano tanks. I consider a nano tank anything, probably 15 gallons or less. What fish are popular for those tanks? Somebody came into the store yesterday and said, "Hey, Nolan, I want to get this 45L. It's a 3 gallon." I'm like, "Okay, great. What do you have?" And he's like, "Oh, I have, a little baby turtle." And I was like, you can probably put that in there for a couple months because sometimes people carry them in those critter keepers, those little
Yeah.
plastic things. I'm like, you can probably have it in there for a couple months, but it's gonna outgrow that. He's like, okay, I'll just get this as a temporary thing. So he got a UNS tank, spent like $100 with wood and stuff. I'm like, he's gonna outgrow this in a couple months, but he was okay with it. So just knowing what's right now, like I said, the hot fish right now are nano. So what fish can survive in small tanks, 15 gallons or less? um Doing research on that. So that's just what I would say, doing your homework, and just learning about fish.
Yeah, no, that was the other thing I was going to ask you is because I kind of see it on YouTube that I guess fish go through trends.
Hmm.
Is that a real thing? Is that like I know you
Yes.
mentioned flower horns and how popular they were, but then all of a sudden you don't really see them. How how big of these trends do you have you noticed that are in the market? Are they like a 1 2 year trends
So
or
I would say, that's a great question. I would say these trends kind of typically last. This is just my opinion, but I would say they probably last maybe 8 to 10 years or so.
okay?
In the 90s, it was like bigger the better. The biggest tank you can get, Oscars, Pacus. The biggest you can get. Nowadays, it's like I will tell you, I like 60 gallon is the most popular size, the most bang for your buck in a 60 gallon. Now I can't even tell you the last time I sold a 60 gallon. It's either someone's getting like a huge tank, like 100 gallon for like an aquascape, or they're getting like a 20 gallon. So it's crazy how the market does change. But right now, nano is super popular. I think Mel was saying on it yesterday, where it's like getting a small tank like that, you can put it on the shelf. It's more affordable than getting a huge tank with a huge filter with a huge light. And I think you had mentioned it to Mel too. Not everybody has the space for that huge tank. You can easily put a 3 or 4 gallon on the counter, in the kitchen, on your desk. There's a lot of options for that with smaller tanks. And
Yeah.
nowadays, there's a lot of species that are in stores now that are small. Back then, 10 years ago, there wasn't as many. I mean, they were there, but stores didn't have them as much. Celestial Pearl Daniel, Chili Rasbora, um, certain, I'm sure they had some, but now I will tell you, when I purchase fish every week, I have a list, and there's maybe around 8 species of fish that does not change. I order those fish every single week, probably for the last like 5 years. Every week I order those, and they're our top sellers. There's also other fish that are like classics, like neon tetras, platies, mollies, those kind of things. Platies and mollies, typically I really don't order those, believe it or not. Um, But if somebody wants them, there's 20 species that I can easily order, and I can give them a list and say, which one would you like? Do your research on these, which color pattern do you like? And I can order them. They'll be in next week. We'll quarantine them so you can have them in 2 weeks. And that has worked well for me just because we have limited space and there are tons and tons of species of fish. If people come in and say, hey, Nolan, I want a tetra. Sure, we have neons, we have cardinals, we have 4 species in stock. There's 20 tetras I can order. Here's a list. Take it home, do your research, find out what you like. Call me and say, Nolan, I want 5 of these green Kubatai rasboras, or I want 5 green neon tetras, whatever they may be. We can order them. That's typically how I do it. Someone orders 5 rasbora, I'll order 30 or 40, and that's kind of how I fill out my orders for the week based on what people pre-order, and then I kind of just mix it up with a few other different things.
Well, now that you mentioned pre-order, when somebody comes into your store and they're interested in getting a specific fish off that you don't normally stock, are you having them give you an advance on that, or are you taking the gamble and saying hopefully they come through? How does that
So
work? Oops, is that my internet? I know Stephen P was also having trouble last night, so hopefully Nolan gets to be able to come back. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge some of you guys that are here. Are we still live, or is it just Nolan that dropped? Can somebody?
okay,
Oh, there he is.
okay, sorry.
You dropped just as you were going to start answering.
Okay, so I've learned the lesson before. I was like, oh sure, just come pick them up. I pay for it when you pick up, and 70% of maybe 60% of the time it works out. But I'm left with my hands out the other 40% of the time. So basically, what I do now, if somebody wants to pre-order a fish, they pay for it first, and then once the payment's made, I'll order it. It'll usually come in the following Monday. We'll quarantine it for a week, and then they can pick it up, after that. So it's usually the turnaround time could be 8 to 14 days, just depending where it's coming from. And I do buy local. I really promote buying local. We have a sign inside the store. We're always buying. I have trusted breeders that I buy from. A lot of the people from Adaka Fest, I buy their fish all the time. They're in our store. So I think that's a way to help the hobby grow. It's a way to, I believe, help the environment by pulling less fish from their natural environment, and they're just getting a healthier fish. Most of the breeders are in Orange County or different areas of California. So those will get less quarantine because I know where they're coming from. I bought fish from them for years and they're always doing great. So it just depends on where they're coming from. If they're imported, I'll usually quarantine it longer. But to answer your question, if somebody wants to pre-order a fish, they do have to pay first.
Yeah, and just to answer June's question, yeah, Nolan's Aquarium does ship. She might have missed the answer to that earlier, but oh shoot, I was going to ask you something. It was about the fish. Ooh. Oh, anyways, well, it'll come to me now. Now that you've been, I know one of the things that I've noticed that I really see a lot is one is your use of social media. I think
Yeah.
that's been a big factor. Do you find it to be beneficial to be in the location you're currently in, or would you have rather been in a strip mall kind of setting?
So my first location was in a strip mall, and the rent was, a good amount, and I didn't get the benefit of my neighbors bringing in, different people and stuff. One was just little different stores. I just didn't feel the benefit, and when I was getting the second location, the person I partnered with, it was already in a warehouse like that, and I thought about it. The rent was going to be a little cheaper. I would save on that. Social media was already, a factor, and I already had a following. I had announced it on Instagram. Hey, I'm opening a retail location. This address. We're opening on this day. So there was already, like, people that, like, oh, we can't wait to come. We can't wait to check out your store. So just by doing that, and it's free, To me, social media is huge. I'm sorry. Was that, did I answer the question?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
and that was the
I'm
thing.
sorry. I think so I remember now. So because I had social media, I felt I can be more successful in an industrial area because I had social media, because I learned from my mistakes. And to me, to save two, three, four, 500 a month in rent, I thought that that was the way to go. And as the years went on, I feel it's been a great decision because I hear some of the rent other stores are paying, and it's just like astronomical. And I'm like, how much benefit are those people getting being next to a Taco Bell or being next to a restaurant or something like that? Are they really bringing in customers? For me, I can just post stuff on Instagram, and that's advertising right there.
Yeah, what one of the nice things is, and but I don't know what it's like during the week because I showed up on the weekend. Is the parking situation? I know that if you go to like a shopping mall, depending
Yeah,
on what the other stores are, sometimes it's hard to find parking at some of those strip malls. Whereas
true.
you seem to have an abundance of parking,
So
and that
you
that's really nice.
So you went, I think you played your cards perfectly at the time you left because I knew you were on the way. And then one of the guys came out to the back and they're like, Mexicali Fish Keepers here. And I was like, what? It's like 9 o'clock or like right before 9. And I was like, oh, you're here early. But I thought about it. I'm like, nobody's here. That's great. I got a chance to talk to you for a little bit. So you came at the right time. If you would have gotten there like at 1, I think it would have been a
Yeah,
total different experience. I wouldn't have been able to chat with you as long. It was great that you came early. But so if people come to our store, you can definitely find parking during the week. On the weekends, it's even more empty because where I'm at, it's a lot of people just the businesses there just work Monday through Friday. So there's always a pretty good parking that you don't have to walk very far at all. So I'm lucky in that location. Plus, we have the back area of the shop that pretty much nobody knows about until Madaka Fest, where it's just extra parking that it's always empty. So we're lucky that we have that, and that's why I just signed a 3-year lease. So I was a little stressed on that. I didn't know if I want to move locations, if I want to shut down the store, but this is something I didn't tell anybody. But I signed a 3-year lease 3 months ago, so we're locked in for another 2.5 years. And one of the reasons is just because I want to promote the hobby. I love this hobby. I'm not just here to buy fish, sell fish, buy, sell, buy, sell. I want to keep the hobby growing. I want to plant seeds for the future of the hobby. I want to host events. I want to bring people together. I just want to build this community and help it grow. And having this location where we have, a nice spot in the back where we can host events, that was a key factor because I was looking at other locations in the area to move. The rent was going up, and one of them was next to a liquor store. And it's like, do I want to be next to a liquor store? Yeah. So basically, I weighed out the options. I was luckily able to negotiate a deal, and I signed the lease, so we will be around for a few more years to come. And I'm just excited to host next year's Madaka Fest. Even though I'm barely recovering right now, it took me a while to recover from Madaka Fest. It was a lot, but I'm glad everyone had a good time, and I'm looking forward to maybe hosting a couple more events throughout the year. In previous time, we would host skate meets. We've hosted several other events in the past, but by far, Madaka Fest was the biggest event we ever did. And I think it was a great turnout.
yeah. Well, it looked like a great turnout. What was some of the feedback you got from the participants? How happy were they with the event? How the event went?
So I would say, after, I've messaged some of the vendors, I've talked to them in person during cleanup and just asking them because I wanted everybody to be successful. I wanted them to come and promote their brand, sell some stuff, make some money. So I that was a very important factor to me. So I asked them, and I would say pretty much everybody was happy. Some people were thrilled. I know the Madaka guys needed security to go home with the amount of money in their pockets, but Madaka guys did great. Guppy guys did great. Big D did really good. So I'm happy. I think I would say pretty much everybody had a successful day. I don't think anybody did bad. Um, so, and just, meeting people in the community, making connections, people who are, I was telling Ricky yesterday, so in my Facebook feed, after a year, you see like, oh, last year's memory. So a while back, a memory came up of the first Madaka Fest. I'm sorry, the first Aqua Swap
Mm.
that Coast did, and I saw, and we were a vendor there, and then there was people there that were coming, and it was tiny. Okay, it was a tiny event. So the second Aqua Swap happened, and some of those guests were now volunteering as Coast members, helping the event because now it wasn't just a quarter of the room; it was the full room. And now at Madaka Fest, some of those people, Coast members who volunteered, now are vendors. So I've seen that progression go from just being a guest to being a club member volunteering to help your local fish club, now to being a vendor and getting deeper into it. There's just a few of them, but it was just, I was telling Ricky, that's really awesome just to watch people grow. And maybe those people don't want to open up a business in the fish game, but they're just enjoying the hobby and breeding and learning and growing and making connections. So it's just awesome to see growth. And that, I'm telling you, this is in a span of maybe 16 months from
Mm.
that first Aqua Swap to Madaka Fest. These three events, just watching people grow, which, I'm super happy, and it's just awesome to see that.
Well, those are the foundations that'll help the club to not only the club but the whole community in that area to
Yeah.
be able to grow and
hmm
expand. Um, now, based off of hosting, is this is not the first event that you host at your location, is it?
It's not the first one. We've hosted, I would say, five Escape Club meets. We've hosted, believe it or not, we did have a Madaka event with Daniel and Madaka Fiend maybe right before COVID, I think. But that was a tiny event. It was very unorganized. It was nothing like what we did at Madaka Fest. But I have hosted events, but this has been the biggest one, most successful. I think we had maybe almost 300 guests come in from a DACA Fest, and then not counting vendors. And then the previous most successful event or biggest event was probably a skate meet. We probably had a little over 100 people. This was maybe like uh, before COVID, maybe like 5 years ago,
Mm.
where Escape Meet, we were just promoting it, and it was really really good. But yeah, we've hosted several events, but now it's just like partnering with Coast has really elevated what we can do because just trying to do stuff by myself with my own connections and contacts. I have contacts, but having Coast and their contacts and their connections as well, you're only as strong as your team. So us together, and then with AMA, getting their Madaka people there, which really helped to draw people, it just worked out really well.
Well, I want to ask you now, taking off your hobbyist hat and putting on your business hat.
Yep.
As a business, was this event beneficial for you? I know why you did it. I'm just trying to find out from a business side of it if it's going to be sustainable for you to be able to do stuff like this. Because did you end up being able to get some of the overflow and then actually make business during the event or not?
So I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I knew what was going to happen, and just from my own experience and as a business standpoint, the store lost money. So I knew that was going to happen, and that's totally fine. I wanted the vendors to be successful. I'm planting the seeds to promote the store, to put us more on the map. I believe people in Southern California, Orange County, they know who we are. They know what type of store we are. They know the quality of our store. But I wanted to help the community, help the hobby, and I'm hoping in the future the dividends will come in the future. So it was more of an investment in the future stores. It was an investment in the hobby. So I believe in the future it will pay off, but in terms of that day, having my whole team there all day, buying, I bought so much product to have there, just all the costs to hosting that event. The store lost money, but it was okay because I had anticipated that. And, I'm willing to make that investment because it's an investment for the future.
It's almost like paying for for
Yeah.
advertisement.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but I kind of figured that, but I already knew because we had that conversation that you knew what you were getting into. But I was just curious because I did see a lot of people walking through the store, and there was a lot of people there. But that was just out of curiosity of what had happened.
Yeah.
Um, Now, after the event, this has been what, about a week removed from when the
Yeah.
event happened.
Uh-huh.
Have you been approached by more people that want to participate in the next one? Has there been an increase in that?
So there's been, I think, two people that were like, "Oh man, I want to be there for next, be a vendor next year." I would say 30% of the vendors already hit me up and said, "Nolan, I'm locked in for next year. I can't wait." Some people are like, "Can we do one next month?" And I'm like, "No, we cannot do one next month. I'm good right now." So getting back to what you're saying, like if I was to do this every month, we would just lose too much money. But there will be adjustments that are made. I'm already talking to Ricky about how we can improve it. There were some things that didn't go as smooth that we can easily fix, that we can make some adjustments.
Ooh, oh, hopefully it comes back. Yeah, but
Yeah. So
oh, there you are.
it's it we can make those adjustments, and I'm excited for next year. I know it's 300 and what is it, 58 days away, but we will have another Madaka Fest. It will be bigger, it will be better. So just we'll improve on it, and maybe we'll get 400 or 500 people next year, more vendors, more food trucks. It was great. Just like one example is having this event allowed me and you to connect.
Yeah.
And I really can't put a price on it because I'm planning for me and you to be, buddies, for a long time and do stuff together and see each other, a couple times a year at different events and, do things together. So to me, I really can't put a price on that. And, I know you met Mel that day or you had
Mhm.
already met him or,
Well, it was kind of like you and I, where it's
yeah.
been
Okay.
we know of each other. We
Uh-huh.
might have exchanged words here and there, and
Yeah.
and like live streams, but not had met them in person yet.
Yeah, that's why when I knew you had come by, that's why I knew to introduce you guys. Just because you guys will be like, hey, we met at Nolan's during that event. Remember that 5 years ago? Same thing with Mel. He met Eric Triplett, the pond digger. They were both at my store for different reasons, and they were fans of each other, and they had met there at my store. So I'm happy to bring people together. So to me, I can't put a price on that. I'm looking forward to a great friendship with you, Jorge, and I can't put a price on that. So to me, that's part of the things where I'm investing in the store just to meet people and make connections and just help the hobby grow.
Yeah, one of the other things that I've noticed about um in your store in particular is the things that you do with your team, that team
Oh
building
yeah,
activities.
yeah,
And I think that's a big part of also the success that you have, because it seems like the guys that you surround yourself with are are loyal to you. I mean, that's uh and I noticed that because you'll do things with the crew where, like, you'll go catch a baseball game together. Last night you guys were out having dinner together.
yeah.
And it's not the first time that I've seen you post stuff like that. Is that something that you have always wanted to do, or it's something that you figured out from somebody else that you noticed that it worked? Where did that come from?
So to me, I've been very lucky to have good quality people with me, a good quality team, and I appreciate them so much. I can't do this by myself. I can't work there 7 days a week. At my first store, I was there 7 days a week, every day, all the time. So I know I need to have a team, especially now that we're busier. Things are growing. I need a team, and I appreciate them. So us hanging out, going out to dinner, going to catch an Angels game, stuff like that. To me, it's just team building. It's making our bond stronger, and all of us, believe it or not, like we're all friends. There's no drama. We're all friends. We like hanging out with each other. There's camaraderie amongst us, and it just I've always told them, hey, if you want to work here, you need to have an Instagram. I don't care if you have 2 followers. It doesn't matter. I want people to know who's here. I want people to feel comfortable when they come in the door. Be like, hey, that was a funny video you did, or hey, I see your fish at home. That's awesome, just to build their credibility. And all of them are hobbyists. They love aquariums and fish keeping, and it's just a way to build themselves. And it's just been awesome. We've been doing this for a few years. Most of the guys I have there have been with me at least a few years, and a lot of them, they have full-time jobs. They go to school. Some of them work just one shift a week just to stay in the hobby, get the store discount, be involved. One of the guys, Adani, he's been with me, a few years. He works literally 2 hours a week. He works on Saturday when he gets off his full-time job because he loves the hobby. He wants to be involved. He goes on our podcast, and he's just been with us all this time. And he's a loyal guy, great personality. So a lot of them, nobody there at the store with me is full time. Everybody's part time, but they're hobbyists. They love the hobby and they want to stay involved. And I think they love seeing new fish come in, new products come in. I will tell you, I wanted to make an announcement here that nobody knows. Okay, I wanted to do it here on your live. I will
Well,
announce
thank
it.
you.
So whoever's listening now, officially, we are going to be at Aquashella coming up in October. So
Oh, nice.
I already paid for our table. I told the team last night at dinner, and basically I'm like, all right, who wants to go to Aquashella? And like all of them like raised their hands, like I want to go. So I'm like, okay, it's expensive, Aquashella.
Yeah.
And so am I gonna have to close the store on Saturday and Sunday because everybody wants to go, and that's our busiest day. So I have to figure that out. We have 3 months, but it's something that they're all excited for. So Aquashella is a huge event. I don't know if you're planning to go. It's on the West
Yes.
Coast. So okay.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've already got arrangements taken care of.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
done deal. It's a done deal.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Make sure you come by. You can hang out at our table. We have a nice table. You can use it as a home base if you want and just kind of
Well,
hang
I
out and
think
rest there.
for your crew, see, I don't know if when you buy the table, are you allowed certain amount of people to be in the table, or do you have to
So,
get
so
tickets
with
for each one?
so with the table, we get 2 passes, and then
Okay.
every additional person I have to pay for a pass. So it's okay.
Okay.
But for
I
me,
got a tip. I got a tip for you because I know most of your employees are content creators.
yeah.
They can apply for the content application
Oh, okay.
as content creators and they'll
Uh-huh.
get a free pass.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
because they're legitimately content creators. I know that because
Yeah.
every time I go watch your Instagram feed, it's one of the guys posting something on
Yeah.
there, either
Yeah.
from the store, or from their home, or whatever it is they're doing when they're, so they would definitely qualify as content creators if you can
Yeah.
get them a
Okay.
pass as for the table.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just something that they all want to be there. It's going to be a huge event. So I'm glad that you're going, just to see people and just support the hobby, because I believe there's not a lot of freshwater events here on the West Coast, because for some reason they think that the West Coast doesn't spend money on fish or isn't interested. And I'm like, we are a huge market. We will come and support these things. So it's like, as soon as I heard this, I'm like, we have to be there as a local fish store, to represent and promote the hobby. So it's 3 months away. We're super excited about it. Yeah, and we'll be announcing it more, but I was saving it. I've been saving it for about 6 days to announce it. So I'm like, here's the perfect opportunity. So if you guys are in this live, you guys are hearing it here first. We'll be at Aquashella.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Uh, I know there last year was the first year that they added an aquarium show to the reptile super show, or the
Yeah,
super reptile
that
show, whatever.
that expo.
The problem with that event, it's got an identity crisis because people know it as the LA Pet Fair. People
Yeah.
know it as the Reptile Super Show.
Yeah.
And then I like the concept. I don't know if it's good for vendors. I know from a point of view as a hobbyist, it's something that I had been talking about going a few years back, that I kind of saw the trend, 'cause I like watching trends.
Yeah.
And where all of a sudden it's not uncommon for somebody that keeps aquariums that they're probably going to have either some sort of reptile along with whatever aquariums they're keeping. And if they're keeping reptiles, they're probably going to set up some sort of a terrarium or
Yeah.
something with plants. So I knew these all hobbies existed independently. Like you had the
Hmm.
plant people, you had the bird people, you had the reptiles, and you had us, the aquarium people. And I used to always say, there's got to be an event where they can bring all of these together, so that way you're not having to fight for crowds, because
Yeah.
a lot of the times, like I even though I don't keep reptiles, I love watching the reptile shows because there's a
Oh,
lot
for
of stuff
sure.
there that I know I would never keep, but
Yeah.
I just kind of like watching it. So I knew that was a big attraction for me, and that's why I went last year. This year I couldn't go just because the timing of the event and our annual trip to San Antonio were just kind of not working in my favor. So that's why this year I didn't go. But I know that this year was the second year, but I didn't see a whole lot of feedback from the local content creators to see how well it did. And I don't know anybody that participated there that I've been able to talk to.
So I will say last year when they had the first one, I did regret not going. I heard feedback from it that it'll be better, it'll get better each year. Then this past one, it's been radio silence. I haven't
Yeah,
heard like anybody talking about it, good or bad, but nobody was talking about it. And I should have been at that one, but it just kind of just crept. I didn't know it was happening until it was like 2 weeks
yeah,
before, and I'm like, I wish I would have known, because that's also something like people who can afford to go there, or just going there, like I don't want that building to be empty.
yeah,
I want to help it grow. So it's like that's something where it's like I have to be there. And that's something like Aquacella's bigger, but it's like we have to be there if we want to keep trending upward. It's something that we have to go. So, and the fact that it's on the West Coast, it makes it so much easier for us. I saw I'm next to a table and they're coming, I think, from Montana. And
oh
I'm
well.
like, yeah, they're making the trek all the way over there. It's like, I can do that from, 45 minutes away, an hour away.
Yeah, I think one of the big problems for the West Coast, especially if you're talking California, is just cost. California is probably one of the most expensive venues to host events,
True,
and I think
true.
and it's unfortunate because you can have all sorts of events during the summer, and it's going to
Yeah,
be nice weather. I mean, that's the one upside of having California, is that the weather is always going to be nice, even in the winter. It's never going to be like extreme. There's no extremes, and so all year round, it's open up for that.
yeah,
There we are. Came back.
yeah,
I don't know what's been going. I swear it's not my internet. I think it's something with StreamYard that their signal seems to be dropping. I know last night it was a big issue for Stephen P and Jenna. But yeah, I've been having all sorts of issues, and my feed here is real strong, and especially now that I'm inside. But yeah, no. So I'm glad that you're doing that. I know the Aquashella. It's one of those things where they've had a lot of internal conflicts and a lot of change of I guess ownership or fight for that it's kind of declined what it originally was when it was booming. But I still hear it from people that it's one of those things where you have to go experience. And I think
hmm
them trying these different venues might reinvigorate the event, because it'd be sad to see it go away,
yeah,
just for the fact that there, like you said, there's not a whole lot of events out there that are organized for fish enthusiasts, especially even though that one's kind of split 50-50 where it's saltwater and freshwater.
yeah,
I think eventually, even if you're only doing saltwater, eventually you get that curiosity and you start kind of, even if
yeah.
you're not buying, you'll go look. just to
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to see
yeah.
what's going
See,
on. So
yeah, yeah. I actually wanted to ask you. So where you live, how is it with like local fish stores? Or like you're just in a spot where there's nothing?
yeah, there all we have is a PetSmart, and that even
What
they did a
what's the
read
closest?
closest would be either Phoenix or San Diego or Palm Springs. Those are, and they're
What's the
all
drive? How many miles to those?
San Diego's about 3.5, Phoenix about 3.5, Palm Springs is about 3. So
What
yeah, I'm
why do you think that is? That there's no local fish stores
there
within
used to be a
hours?
local fish store here, from what I'm finding out, because I'm new to the community here. I've only been here maybe 4 years now. And the mom and pop store that was here was doing, I guess, relatively okay. But once it the owners retired,
Uh,
nobody took after. Then
mm,
nobody picked up the mantle. Right now, they're
yeah.
trying to open up uh, another pet store, but they're focusing more on reptiles.
Okay.
Although I've been told, I don't know this, that, a couple of people have already reached out to me and said that they're looking for local breeders to provide them with fish, but I don't know what they're planning to do. I was planning on probably heading out there today to go check it out to see what it is and kind of get to know them
How
and
far is
see
that
what they're
from you?
doing. Nah, it's close.
Oh,
Everything around
nice.
here, it's like maybe a 10-minute radius, the most.
Okay. Okay.
So it's real. And then we're kind of a rural setting, so we don't
Uh-huh.
have like a high density
Uh,
downtown that everything you drive and you get back and forth real quick. It's a
yeah.
lot of open space. Um, but yeah, I for a while there I was kind of thinking about doing it, but there's a lot of. I'm glad I started doing some research, and it's kind of like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I tried doing it here from my garage, but there's that inconvenience where you have that constant flow of people coming in, and you don't necessarily know everybody either,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, oh, do I really want to be introducing strangers into my home? That's
Yeah.
really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And but what the little bit that I did was really interesting because, like I was saying, I had this idea. I wanted to do guppies, because it's their live bears, and I figured, oh, I'm going to get all these different strains of guppies, and I'm going to sell that because it
Yeah.
seemed like that was a viable, you know,
Huh?
market for that. Well, come to find out, people would come, they would be interested, but at the end of the day, they would just, grab like two from here, two from there, and mix them. So they didn't really care about keeping straight lines.
Yeah.
They were more interested in having a colorful tank.
Oh, for sure.
So to me, it was like,
That
it's
that
like,
that that's a hobbyist. They have different ideas. I would say with guppies, in my opinion, sorry to cut you off, but in
oh
about
no,
I would say half of guppy people, they want to keep a pure line. The other half, I just want color. And I get that.
yeah,
They're not trying to breed. They don't
no,
actually a lot of people, they don't want them to have babies. So they'll just have males.
hmm
So,
yeah, that was really interesting to come to find out. I was like, oh, okay, so instead of me, because what I was trying to do is I would find, um, you know, how sometimes, especially like the stuff you buy at PetSmart, once in a while
mhm,
they'll throw an off colored stuff, and I was trying to straighten out lines,
yeah.
and I was getting pretty good with my mosaic dumble ears, and but coming to find out is like, at the end of the day, they were more attracted to my cold tank that I had, and they were buying all of that up. So it's like, well,
Was it
maybe,
cheaper? Were they cheaper?
yeah, a little bit cheaper because the
Mm,
trios for the lines that I had, the straight lines were like $25, whereas those I was selling them for like, I think it was like $2 for per fish,
So those
and
those are probably people that are new that just got
yeah,
a tank and like they don't want to spend 25. They'd rather spend 10 bucks. And then you're
yep.
there with them, then they want to talk and ask you all the questions and you're there for 30 minutes and you made 10 bucks and then your wife is like, "What are you doing out there?" So I can totally relate.
Well, what was also really interesting, and I didn't even really dawn on me, was plants.
Hmm.
Plants will sell. Plants, and you don't even have to keep the fanciest stuff. I had I had Jungle Vel. I still have a ton of Jungle Vel. That sells really good.
That's one of my
Um,
favorite plants.
especially because if you, that's what I tell people. That's the one plant that if you don't have any aquascaping skills, will make you look like you know what you're
Oh
doing.
yeah. Oh yeah. Especially in like 3 or 4 months, it'll
Yep.
look like, wow, this looks so natural.
Yep.
For sure.
So that and I had like a real, I think it was just rotella rotundifolia, real
Hmm.
basic stuff, like real
Yeah.
beginner stuff. And that's the stuff that they wanted. And shrimp. I
Oh yeah.
have a few, I have some sherry shrimp and I had some blue dreams. And that's really what most of the people coming here, and then they would start asking about snails, but I didn't, other than the, I guess what the hobby considers pet snails, I don't have mystery snails, and I have nerites, but nerites you have to buy because you're not going to
Hmm.
get those to reproduce.
Hmm.
And so, but it was interesting, just a little time, but and I know I've had people say, hey, you should open up a store. It's like, no, I don't. If I did something, it was going to be out of here because I didn't want to have the overhead. I'm already paying
Yeah.
rent. And
Yeah.
even my wife tells me later on, she goes, maybe, you should open up a little store here and there. But I told her the only way I would do it is because there's still a lot of vacant land where we're at. I said, if we buy a plot of land and I can get some cargo containers and set them up to make a cargo container store, uh, that's the only way because I don't want to have an overhead other than the mortgage for the property. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, if that business fails, I still have value in the land that I bought.
Oh yeah.
And so, but that's like way down the road. That's not something that's going to happen, anytime soon. But I said
But
that's the
see,
only way I would do it.
now like you've already been in the aquarium hobby, like you are familiar with the trends where it's like you know what would sell and possibly what wouldn't sell because you invested a lot of time in the hobby, and you know what's going on. But rewinding a little bit, when I first opened the store, I was like, all right, we're doing cichlids, some community fish, whatever. And I was like, plants, I don't really care. And then sure enough, nonstop plants. Nolan, what plants do you have? Nolan, what plants? Nolan, can you get this plant? I'm like, sure, I'll get some plants. And then like, what do you know? Like, that's one of the thing we specialize in now is plants. Plants are super popular. Everybody wants plants, unless they're just like a African cichlid keeper. Almost every customer wants plants, easy plants, medium, difficult. It's like we spend a lot of our money buying plants. And now I've even opened it up to buying plants from our local customers. Floating plants, we buy them all the time. Most of our floating plants come from our customers.
Mhm.
They bring them in, hey, I'm going to go to the shop. Let me scoop out some floaters, bring it into the store. Okay, I can give you this much cash or this much store credit, take your pick. And it's a way to get a few bucks and then you're coming into the store anyway. So it's kind of a lot of people are taking advantage of that. And for us, it helps us, with our inventory. I don't have to drive to go pick up these items. They're bringing them into me. So that also helps me too.
As a store owner and having local breeders around your area, what are some of the fish that you would like to have from breeders, local breeders? What are the ones that you feel are the best ones that sell and the best ones to be able to have from local breeders? Because I know everybody breeds different stuff, but what would be some of the stuff that you would ideally like to have?
So I do have several people bringing in Corys. They're a little bit more on the difficult side to breed. There's a few steps to the process. It does take a little bit of time, but Corys are coming in locally, and those are super popular. Bushy nose plecos. There are a lot of people breeding bushy nose, but those are so popular. Like I can't get enough of bushy
No.
nose plecos. After Madaka Fest, I probably bought out like maybe 5 tables of vendors and I probably picked up like almost like 200 bushy nose plecos, long fin, short fin, super red, albino, blue eye, chocolates, all the different types, long fin, short fin. Those are always going to be selling because those are plecos that don't get big. They max out at like 5 inches. People with nano tanks, those are ideal. They clean, they're easy, they're friendly. But I will give, I don't want to say if it's a pro tip, but if you are looking to breed for profit? That's a popular question I get asked. Nolan, what can I breed for profit? To me, something that is not bred enough and is easy, and there is a good, you can get a good return on it, is shrimp.
Mm.
So shrimp are so popular, so easy to breed. I I get a lot of people bringing them in, and I buy local, but um, I am not supplied enough where I have to get them imported still. So to
Okay.
me, it's like just pick a color, set up a tank, and make sure you're culling, keep the quality good. And we buy shrimp almost every day, and they're so popular. I still have to get them imported because they're just such a hot item. And you really don't have to do anything to get them to breed.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense, especially with the whole concept of nano aquariums,
Hmm.
because a lot of times maybe you won't be able to put a fish like in a
Hmm.
1 gallon per se, or at least where you could have a community. But shrimp will always be able to work
Oh
well
yeah. Oh
in
yeah.
these little setups. Plus, the upside is they can help you kind of keep the algae at bay too.
Yeah.
So there's like
Yeah.
a added bonus for that.
Uh-huh. For sure.
Yeah. The other thing was I know for the events, I know that you guys are really involved with your local fish club. How important is that as a business to be able to be a big presence on the local clubs? Is that really an upside for you guys or
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. We're heavily involved with Coast Fish Club. I think it's a great relationship. We kind of both scratch each other's back. Luckily, Ricky, vice president, him and I really work well together. Ross Freeman, the president, him and I work well together. Those two guys really care about the local fish store. They approach me, and it's not, Nolan, what can you give our club? They are so nice and so caring because they understand what the hobby needs. They are coming at me and saying, Nolan, this is what we can give you. And I feel it's such a great relationship where it's like, I want to help Coast so much because they're so friendly and so welcoming. Where we literally have a poster in our store, local fish club. A lot of times people are new to the hobby, they want to get more involved. They're eager to learn. They want to find out more information. Like, just feed me knowledge about fish. And it's one thing to watch YouTube, or to watch a video or look at Instagram, but to go somewhere in person and hear a speaker and meet somebody who's breeding plecos, and that's what you want to get into. You can ask them questions, building a community, making friends. So all the time, we're telling, hey, you just got into the hobby, check out this local fish club. So I feel we've helped them grow membership for that club a lot. They we're a partner with them, where if you're a Coast member, we do give 15% off fish and plants, which I feel is more than the normal 5 or 10%. I just try to, give the Coast members a little something special. 15% off is a good chunk. Um, and we're just always promoting them. They do support us and promote us as well. So we kind of just both help each other grow. And for me, I really believe, not this year or next year, but for the future of the hobby, we need to have these young, kids and teenagers, help them get into the hobby, because before you know it, 10 years is going to pass. And it's like, you know, are we going to be able to help this club grow? And in decades from now, we need to plant those seeds and help these young people take over our roles, just like in life. So I love it when I see kids come in, and they're coming with their mom or dad, and they're interested in fish, or they can't wait to come in, or they see Jerry and they're like, whoa, they're like, I can hear them with excitement when they see all the fish tanks, or they see shrimp, or their parents promised them, hey, we're going to get some shrimp today, and they're so excited. Or we have stickers there at the counter, and the kids love to get stickers. Just stuff like that to promote the hobby and just kind of spark that interest in them. I don't know, you may have a memory. I don't know when you got into the aquarium hobby of just, a lot of times people as a kid, they'll remember, oh, my mom brought home our first fish tank or a fish bowl, and we had a goldfish in there from the fair or something like that. Just helping to create these memories and just kind of spark the future members of the hobby. But Costa and I, we have a great relationship, and I'm looking forward to do many more things with them in the future.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, no, my first memory is believe it or not, it was in the Chinese food restaurants down here in this area would always have an aquarium going
Oh,
into the restaurant,
yeah, yeah.
and that
Okay.
was where I started, just that appeal. And
Oh, yeah,
that, and
yeah.
then obviously the doctor's office, but more than anything else, I think it was the dentist's office, not necessarily the doctor's office,
Hmm.
that I remember, seeing an aquarium. And that's kind of where the curiosity. I didn't get into my first tank until I was able to buy
Hmm.
my own tank after I started working in high school.
Yeah, yeah.
But through all that time, it's always, and then we would go um, to, depending on the stores. I think it was Woolworths that was in town, and they had an aquarium section, and I would go always just go stand there and look at fish. I mean, that was
Uh-huh.
just that's where ever since I can my first memories of having an they had that attraction to the aquariums has always been, those are my kind of my memories
Yeah.
from when I first started kind of liking them. There's a question here that was asked that I got to make sure I ask. This is from Lush and Salty Aquarium, Stefan. He goes, "Can you ask Nolan what separates his store from other quality LFSs?"
Okay, so sorry, I have watery eyes. I'm not getting emotional or anything. So I would say to me, what separates us, I've worked in local fish stores before I opened the shop. And one thing that I feel I take pride in, I tell my team, is to be honest. Be honest with customers. A lot of times, customers want to walk into the store and they expect to walk out of the store with the fish tank and setting up the tank and having the fish in that day. The reality is, you need to cycle your tank. And for us, we ask questions. If they come in and say, "Hey, I want to get a Planet Aquarium," we ask, what substrate do you have? What light do you have? What fish are you planning on putting it in there? We're not just like, oh, you want plants? Here you go. So we're honest. We ask questions, even if that means you're not going to buy stuff today. You'll maybe buy it in the future. All the time, people set up a new tank and they want to buy like a bushy nose and a nearite snail right away when their tank is super new. I tell them, come back in 2 or 3 weeks, maybe in a month, when you start getting a little bit of algae in there. So just being honest with customers, trying our best to be welcoming, listening. That's one thing that I do preach is like we'll listen, and then versus someone coming in and saying, "Oh, I have this tank," and I can say, "Hey, I know what you need to set up your tank." We'll listen, and then we'll say, what are your goals for this tank? Do you have a screenshot of a tank you want to kind of mimic? Do you want a tank with a lot of fish so your grandkids can see, all the fish? Do you want like a Lush Planet tank? So we'll listen, we'll be honest, and all of us care, about husbandry and keeping the fish healthy. We quarantine all of our fish, so we're not just like getting an import from Vietnam and then selling it that day, knowing it could have parasites, knowing they're stressed, knowing they haven't eaten for a week. We quarantine, we're honest, and we listen, and we'll give good advice, even if it means we don't get the sale or we're going to sell less. That's totally fine with us because we want our customers to trust us. So for me, that's what separates us from other places.
Okay. Now I'm gonna rewind a little bit because I kind of wanted to uh, ask you about this. I know, like I said in the beginning, I know your current location where you're at now. If I remember correctly, and even your logo, it indicates that you guys were trying to specialize in African cichlids. At what point of having the store did you realize I'm gonna have to pivot? What was it that made you go, yeah, I need to change directions?
So it's interesting. When I first opened the shop, right before I opened the shop, I was breeding Africans. I probably had maybe 15 breeding colonies of Africans at home, and I was breeding them, you know, growing them out, selling them. And so when I opened the shop, I said, great, I'll have more space. I opened it up to maybe having almost 30 breeding colonies of all kinds of Africans. And that's why the first room when you walk in there is all Africans. I had that
Mhm.
filled just with all kinds of Africans. And then another company approached me and said, hey, Nolan, you're pretty well known for Africans. Let's partner together. I have a shrimp guy. I have a guppy guy. I have a guy for every little type of aquatic creature. I want you to be my cichlid guy. Breed all the cichlids you can, and we'll sell them on his website. And I was like, okay, then that I can do that. So I started changing stuff around. I started putting a lot of 60 gallons in there. I started, ramping up my breeding. And then after doing that for maybe a month and a half, he called me and he's like, hey, Nolan, so, certain species of fish, my plan is I just want to import them and then we'll sell them and just say they're your fish because I can get them for 10 cents cheaper per fish. And I was like, I'm not cool with that. I don't want to put my name on an imported fish, and I'm not good with that. And he's like, "Come on, Nolan, it's better business. You don't even have to do anything. We'll just put your name on it." And basically, I was pretty upset. I changed my whole store around. I was working hard on breeding. So basically, I cut ties with him, and the demand for plants was so high. I basically a 60-gallon tank will fit perfectly where 220 highs would be. So I was
Okay.
pulling out the 60s and putting in 20s so I can have rasbora and nano stuff in there and different plants. So that kind of delayed me from moving as fast as I wanted to. So I changed up the store again, and I just started selling some of my breeding colonies. My whole back room quarantine was pretty much all breeders. I sold a lot of those and made more room for quarantine. And I still breed some Africans, but pretty much I don't have the space. People want too many species of fish, so the whole back now pretty much is mostly quarantine. When stuff comes in, it all goes back there, hangs out back there for a week or so, make sure they're healthy and happy, and then we bring them out. So it was, I would say, maybe around a year and a half from when I first opened, is when I went from Africans aren't selling as much. I need to change and pivot and go more towards community, nano, and plants. I have a passion for Africans. Star sapphire, my favorite fish. That's what I love. So we have one room still. I won't budge on it, dedicated to Africans.
Mhm.
People still love, even if they don't keep them. They go into that room and they're just like amazed at the colors. So, that will always be a part of the store, but the rest of it is pretty much going to be community and plants.
Now, are you still breeding your own African cichlids?
I am. I'm still breeding. I have a few species that I breed, but it's just time consuming, and I've realized I just don't have the time to be breeding as much. And honestly, the fact that we buy local, it
Okay.
allows just other customers to breed couple species, bring them in, and that just works better for me than trying to breed on my own, just because I'm being pulled in so many different directions. I just it just works out better just to buy local.
Now, when it comes to your African cichlids, are you only keeping a certain species, or how are you picking the ones that you decide to keep at the store to sell?
So we do have, I think, maybe around 30 plus tanks in the African cichlid room. If somebody comes in and says, "Hey, Nolan, I want a sunshine peacock," sure, I can order it. So, what size do you want? 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. I'll order. They said I want 1 4 inch. Okay, I'll order 10 4 inch. I'll sell them. I'll let them pick which one they want, and then I'll stock the room with that. If we're low on stuff. We always have Africans, so I'll order some, or local breeders will come in and we'll keep it stocked pretty well. People know I buy local, so people are hitting me up every or not hitting me up, coming in almost every day with stuff. Yesterday at the shop, somebody brought in redhead tapajos, which are not African. I got tons of floaters. I got blue dream shrimp, cherry shrimp, polar parrots. Like people are just bringing in stuff daily, where it's a huge help to us because they're wanting store credit, so that helps us. And then I'm just getting stocked all the time with stuff, especially after Madaka Fest. We bought out so much stuff where I probably bought like 300 Madaka, over 100 plecos. We bought Corys. So just buying local has ended up working really well, and customers like it and appreciate it because I think you had said with Mel yesterday, like you were breeding stuff, and it's like your next worry is like after you figure out how to breed them, it's like what do I do with them?
Yeah.
How do I unload these 50 guppies? So it's just like I don't like to say no, so I like to always make an offer to customers who bring in stuff. Of course, we do have our buying rules of
Mhm.
what we won't buy or what we're looking out for, mostly for diseases, parasites. So we will inspect the fish, we will put them in quarantine before we put them out on the floor.
Yeah. Um, what was the other thing I wanted to ask you? There's so much stuff, but I'm trying to um the ideas come but I don't want to interrupt you. Uh, this is the other thing. As a content creator myself, and I know I even talked to Mal about this. I've always been curious from the owner's perspective side of this. I know you guys embrace social media and you guys are a big participant in it. But if somebody that is looking to make a video, I've always been kind of curious, what would be the proper etiquette for somebody like myself that would want to come to your store? What are some of the things you would appreciate that the person did before they start pulling out their camera and start filming? What are some of the things that you would encourage potential content creators to do before filming the store?
So what I've learned is for some reason, I think differently than other places. If someone came in and said they want to record or, make a video, I would appreciate it and be thankful and be welcoming, and I would love it. I would love it. They're putting out content, they're not charging me, I would just say, if you wanted to do a video in our store, with whatever we're involved in, just come and ask first, and then pretty much I'm gonna say yes. Just ask first so I know what's going on. Even sometimes people like, hey, can I take a picture of your fish because I want to send it to my boyfriend so they could see, or I want to show who my husband or whoever it may be. If you just ask, for me, if you just ask, hey Nolan, I have this I'm trying to start a YouTube or Instagram, I want to take a video or a showcase. Sure, absolutely. Thank you for asking. And if there's anything I can help with, I would love to. That's the way I feel. I like to be like I said, help the hobby, the community grow. So I'm definitely open to it. But all I would say is just ask in a respectful way. And if there's something I don't want you to put on there, I'll say it. Usually, like our back room, our breeding room, because that's where our break room is. So sometimes, it might be Fernando having lunch back there, eating a sandwich, and then you're there and he's like, so if it's something like that, and that's our little private personal space. But besides the back, everything is available to see. There's nothing that I'm hiding. I don't have anything illegal. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. So there's no fish in the back that nobody can see. I'm very transparent, and I encourage and look forward to people coming out to filming. I really don't understand why fish store owners would be against it unless they're trying to hide something or they have a bunch of dead fish. But for us, we're always trying to keep healthy, clean tanks. So it's like at any point, I mean, if someone was to give me a heads up, like Jorge, if you were coming down and you just knocked on the door, hey Nolan, can I film? I would be like, man, I want to make sure the store looks great for you. But if you were to pop up, you can still come in. I know you're not going to do me wrong. I'm not trying to hide anything. So I would just say, just ask if you can give a heads up, especially somebody like you. For you, Jorge, you have a big following. It's going to go out there. If it's somebody new who has, a few followers, they can always just show up. But I always welcome it. I'm very approachable, I feel. And I like that kind of stuff, and I'll support it in any way I can.
Well, I appreciate your generosity with the big following. I'm working on it. It's getting there, but it's not like Mouse. Mouse has got a big
Huh?
following.
So I will say
uh,
Mel, him and I, he was coming down, I think, for his son's basketball game a couple years back, and he was on the I don't want to say small side, but his following didn't blow up yet.
yeah,
And he's such a great and humble guy where he came down, he was so nice. We just hit it off. And it's like I don't want to say I remember him when he was a smaller guy because he still had a good following when when I first met him. But it just like he's so humble, and now he's like blown up, where he has over 100K followers, and he puts in a lot of work on all reels and YouTube. He's just a very hard worker. Where he's still the same humble guy, and he hasn't forgotten about me. He's still, we have a great friendship, and I appreciate it.
yeah. Somebody was asking, what is? Let me hold on. Where did I put it? Where are my starred comments? Oh, here we go. What are the most popular plants that you sell at the store? At your store?
So most popular, in no particular order, I would say Java Fern, Amazon Sword, Anacharis, Anubias, Moss. Those are all on the easy side. When people are just starting out, they want easy stuff that's tough to kill. Those are particularly not too expensive as well. Anubias can get a little pricey, but the Java Ferns and Swords are usually like 5, 6 bucks. Good starter plants. In terms of stepping it up a little bit and a little bit more difficulty, a little bit more experience, I like to kind of turn people on to cryptocorns. People call
Mhm.
them crypts for short. We have maybe 8 different types of crypts. They're also easy as well. They're not just green, they have a few different colors. So those are also popular. The next level will be like Rotalas and Ludwigias. Those are more on the medium to a more difficult side. But to answer your question, Java Ferns, Amazon Swords, Anubias, those are kind of like bread and butter. I order those every week. They're popular sellers. Those are good beginner, easy plants.
Yeah, I'm looking down at my phone because one of the things that I like to do is when people come into the chat, you'll notice that in my chat, everybody will for the most part will be moderated, and I do that because it gives people access to other people's channels. And I noticed that I had a couple of people in here that I hadn't done that to, so that's why I was doing that. Because I want to make sure. Oh, here's a Neil one. One of your guys, Boost, and it just makes it easier to because I know a lot of times I'll see somebody and I try to follow them and trying to find them sometimes on the search engine.
Yeah.
It's difficult, especially if they're a smaller channel,
Hmm.
and it makes it real hard to be able to find them because a lot of the times their handle will be different than what their actual channel name is, and
Yeah.
this way it just makes it real easy. You just click on the person's name and it'll give you the choice to go to their channel, and I just
Okay.
kind of do that because it also allows people to kind of network
Oh, for
and
sure.
grow too. So it's
Yeah.
just but well, I know we've been at this for about an hour and a half now. Uh, is there anything else that maybe you would have liked to have talked about that we haven't talked about yet? Or I guess would be what are some of the like future plans for Nolan's Aquarium? What would some of the things that you like to be able to see happen?
So, future plans, we're trying to finish up remodeling the showroom. We had painted maybe a quarter of the shop. I was trying to get the whole showroom painted before Medaka Fest, but there was just too many moving parts. We'd have to move like 4 scapes over, paint the wall, and then move them back. We were lucky enough to upgrade Jerry's tank and then put that in place, but pretty much making our showroom like a full gallery with scape tanks. Prior to that, when you walk into the showroom to the left, there's some windows there that we just had. I had it covered with paper to block out the sun. We actually were able to take the paper down. It's been there the whole time when I set up the store. The black paper behind the bars that are protecting the store. Took down the bars, took down the paper, tinted the windows, to protect it from the sun coming in, and then we put the bars back up. So the showroom will probably hopefully be done in the next month. Putting art on the wall from Sam Scales. We have a few of his artwork pieces up on the wall. Going to Aquashella. Those are kind of the main ones we have. We also do have a YouTube channel. Boost Billion takes care of our YouTube. We're doing podcasts. We're doing different videos. We're putting out maybe a video like every 3 weeks, maybe once a month, but we are ramping that up. We have three videos right now in the queue that should be coming out. The Madaka Fest video should be out tomorrow. We have one on upgrading Jerry's tank. We have one where I'm going around feeding the store and talking about the different species we have. So we'll have some adventures on our YouTube channel coming out. So just fulfilling that, making more content. That's what we have right now, pretty much in the next few months coming up.
All right, let me see something because they're and I might have forgot. Oh yeah, I didn't do it. What a knucklehead. Um, so I don't like doing things real in a rush kind of thing. They were saying that they didn't have the link to your channel, and I think June, overly stocked Oscars, did me the favor of putting the link for your
Okay,
channel
so
there.
on that, we unfortunately we have two YouTube channels. One of them is our old channel. My YouTube person unfortunately passed away years back, and he had the passwords, and I didn't have access to any of that. So if you see a dragon blood and orange fish, that's our old channel. Our
Okay,
new channel has our star sapphire, our logo. That's
the
our
current
new
look.
channel. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're
So what I'll do is once this is done, I'll go. I usually like to link your guys' channel, the guest channel, to my description.
mhm.
But I just checked it right now, and I didn't do it for this one. It's something that I'm still learning too. So, but it just makes it easier for people that come in, and because I a lot of the times I bring in um, like newer people
Yeah.
that to YouTube, so
Mm,
it makes it easier to connect with their channel and stuff like that. But I do
yeah.
appreciate June dropping the link. I'll make sure it's the right one. When this is over, I'll go edit it and I'll add the current link to that too in the description.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Now, besides YouTube, any other social media platforms that you guys are on that people can find you?
Instagram, just Nolan's Aquarium Co. We're on there. We're posting out content, I would say, pretty much daily. Facebook, not so much. Just whatever I post on Instagram, just naturally just goes to Facebook. So Instagram, if you give us a follow there, we're posting sales. We're posting new fish we got in. We got plecos, so I'll put them on the story. We're putting our reels on there, all kinds of stuff, different sales, different events. If you're interested in different events we have going on, I'm always sharing people's stuff. I like supporting, and I'm not afraid of like competition or like stealing people's customers or whatever it is. I like to help. And we have a small platform on Instagram. I think we have, I don't know, 11,000 people, but it's just like I'm excited, Jorge, for like our Instagram people to now start clicking on your YouTube and get some subscribers, and just kind of just helping us all just make connections and promote each other. I'm hoping, some of the people that are watching this video, your subscribers enjoy what they see with this, and, kind of follow us and see what we're about. And I'm excited for my people to kind of see what you're about too, just kind of cross promoting and just helping all of us grow. So Instagram, that's where you'll see the most content.
Now, for if people interested in potentially being able to purchase for you, do you guys have a website that's
Yes.
up and running,
Yeah.
or is it Instagram where they reach out to you guys?
So it's nolansaquarium.co. We do have that link on our Instagram. So we do have a website. We can ship to you. We can ship overnight or 2-day shipping. But I will say, if you're interested in something, you can message us on Instagram or our website, and I can tell you if we have it in stock. The website is not fully up to date. There's a lot of stuff we have in store that's not online. So send us a
Okay.
message. Hey, I'm looking for this certain cichlid or this certain nano fish, and we can tell you, oh yeah, I have a bunch of them. We can ship them out. We ship Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. So anywhere in the U.S., we could ship to you.
All right. Well, with that being said, I just want to thank you so much again for coming on. Thank you so much for the invitation. That was really cool to get invited to
Oh yeah.
participate in an event. And I want to thank everybody that's joined us today. Hopefully, you guys were able to get some useful information out of this. I appreciate the constant support. Doesn't matter what time of the day or what day of the week I go live. I have a core following of people that will join us, and my replays do excellent. I knew intentionally when I was coming into this, because of my weird funky schedule, I was I was hoping that people will watch the replays, and it's really been really nice to see that's the way it's kind of played out.
Oh,
So
Jorge, can I add one thing here?
yeah.
So, those of you guys that have been following Jorge's channel, one of the things that stood out to me and made me become a fan is when Jorge was talking about the Children's Museum tank, that he was doing that. I found that awesome. I felt a connection just with the community and just helping the hobby grow. And that's where I started following Jorge more and just knowing the type of person he is to set that up. For those children, that was just really awesome. I commend you for that. And that's where I became a fan right there. Just those little things, definitely, it touched me, kind of energized me to want to kind of do more for the community as well. So that was the moment where I became a fan of your work, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been an honor to be on this live, so I appreciate the invite for sure.
Thank you. Well, and the truth is that wouldn't have came together without the help of people here. I know KJE Aquatics was a big contributor to that. Warrior Planet Tanks, my friend Steve, he was a big he provided all the livestock for that. Fathom Aquatics, which I haven't seen today, but he also helped me with a gift card from Aquarium Co-op, so that helped us get some other stuff that I might have needed for that. And obviously the Chlorophyll Corner, who actually he came down from Phoenix and helped me set it up. But
How far are they from you?
3.5 hours.
Ah, okay. I want to check out their new place.
Yeah, it's nice. I really like it. Well,
Hmm.
it speaks to me because I'm just kind of like I was really interested in seeing all your nano stuff.
Yeah,
That he's kind of set up the same way.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
what I liked about his store is how he has all the houseplants and
Uh-huh.
how that kind of ties into the aquariums, which is
Oh
kind of
yeah,
the direction that I'm going now.
yeah.
But with that being said, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I know uh, your time is real, limited, so I do appreciate that.
Mhm.
I don't, I don't understand. You taking the time out to do this really means a lot to me. So with that being said, I want to say thank you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right. Thank you, everybody.